Supervisors, August 21, 2023, special session. We are sort of in order. Chairman Surdy will be attending telephonically, and therefore I will be presiding as chair. In addition, Supervisor Kavanaugh and Supervisor Goodman are attending telephonically. Do we have them on?
Chairman Jeff Surdy.
Yes.
Supervisor Kevin Kavanaugh.
Here.
Supervisor Mike Goodman.
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. Okay. The one item is discussion, approval, disapproval of the fiscal year 2023-2024 property tax levies and rates for all governmental entities of Pinal County in accordance with ARS 42-171-151 and 42-172-54. The Pinal County proposed primary property tax rate is $3.56 per $100 of valuation. Ms. Woods.
Good morning, Vice Chair McClure, members of the board. Andrew Woods, I'm the Director of the Office of Budget and Finance. It's a bright and early Monday morning. Thank you for joining me today. As you stated, this agenda item is to adopt the levy and rates in accordance with Arizona revised statutes. I have a short presentation, and attached to the agenda item is the levy and rate sheet for the entire, every jurisdiction in the county. Once this is the actual document that you are approving today. I'm asking for approval for today. This will be transferred to our treasurer's office to prepare tax bills once that's complete. So if no further questions, I'm gonna get right into it, give you a short presentation, and we'll be out of here.
Please do so.
Okay. So every year we present you this data, and we do a comparison between all of the counties in the state. The first slide here is last year's countywide average rates. So for fiscal year 22-23, last year, our county was the third highest in the combined rate. We did have the highest overall primary property tax rate, but the seventh highest secondary property tax rates when combined. And looking at the state averages, you can see the state averages, all three, primary, secondary rates have been historically declining throughout the years. So as a cue, we've been looking back to 10-11 when we began to talk about strategic primary property tax levies. And so we typically do a comparison to 10-11. In doing so, this year, the levy has increased 17% since 10-11. The population has increased 21%. Which means about 77,500 constituents have been added to our population since 2010. Give that kind of context, that's equal to or similar to the size of or population of both the city of Casa Grande and the city of Coolidge. If you're thinking in context of other cities in the state, that is similar to the entire population of the city of Flagstaff. And then something else that I was thinking about, that growth at 77,500 people, that population, just the growth in itself, is higher than the population of the total population of 6 other counties in the state. So, just that growth outmatches the total population for 6 other counties in the state. So. Here's our normal property tax dollar. This year, the county's coming in at 26% of the total tax dollar. Last year, we were at 24%. The difference there is really school districts and the Central Arizona College. So they're slightly less than they were last year. The percentage of the dollar, anyway, is slightly less. In 10-11, the county's percentage of the tax dollar was 31%. Cities and towns were only 6%. School districts, 39%. Central Arizona College was 12%, and the special districts were at 12%. So there's differences between then and now. We like to show you legal class comparison. So it's as a percentage of the total net assessed valuation. So we haven't changed as far as, not much anyway. Class 1 commercial property, last year the makeup of the county's net assessed valuation was 23%. Class 2 for agriculture or agriculture-like was 7%, same as this year. Class 3 and 4, which are mainly residential, was at 68%, and then everything else was the same at 1%.
So just for reference, so we're moving up residential. I mean, we know that because population is growing. Commercial is similar. What was it?
Last year's commercial was 23%. So as the percentage of residential grew, the commercial didn't grow as quickly as
Stagnated a bit, but that'll catch up in a few years when these other properties come online.
Yes.
What were we, not to like put you on the spot, do you have like the numbers, since we're referencing 2010 and 11, do you have those there as a comparison?
I don't have them as of this moment, but I would be happy to share that.
Just be
with you.
curious to see what they, thank you.
Yeah.
Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Just on the commercial, though, I think it's something to watch because the stick and brick is slowing down for stores. In other words, so much is bought online. I think that commercial, the physical buildings, might stagnate or flatten out at some point. I don't, it's just they're hard to lease out right now. I know a lot of vacancies throughout the state of Arizona. And I think that's an interesting number to watch. So.
To your point, that the stick and brick are slowing down the small stores, but the larger things like Lucid and Kohler and Procter & Gamble, those are going to pick up.
Right, and I see those as industrial. I don't know that it has a separate category, but
it would be in that class
it
one.
would still be in that class.
It would
right?
still be in that class. Those industrial type. So a lot of what you're talking about, Kohler. Lucid, some of those properties have been in Class 2, and as they begin to get developed and be added to the tax roll, they then go into Class 1. So
I don't know if this is a question you can answer, but is it the same type of lag time for projects like that as it is with the residential? It takes almost 2 years to get them really on the tax rolls?
yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
And in some cases, because of different tax laws and assessment laws, it could be even a little bit more. Okay. And, depending on what is going on in those locations and how quickly the assessor's office gets in there and does the assessment and what they can and can't assess at that time.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And as you were speaking, I was thinking about, the switch between what you were saying, the commercial being less, due to more online sales. And what I was thinking is, going back and looking at, say like Maricopa County and looking to see what kind of changes have happened there, or some of the other more urbanized, counties to see what's going to do some of those comparisons so I can bring that back to you if you'd like.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Good.
So primary net assessed value per capita, so, this is the NAV per person or by population. We're third lowest, and last year we were the second lowest, so that net assessed valuation per person has grown slightly in comparison to other counties. This chart it's rated based upon the combined rate. So as the combined rate, we're fourth highest in the state, and same as last year. The other column on this chart that is kind of representative of what's going on is the first column, the percent change from previous year in the primary rate. And you can see there's, several counties that there was no change, us included, several that had minor changes, and then, there's a couple on here that kind of jump out at you, like La Paz County having a 51% increase in their adopted primary rate.
Could you give some perspective there? Like, why would they have, you can't read their minds, but
So in looking at what was going on in La Paz County last year, they were forced to have a 1-year decrease because they were found to have been misusing some of their special revenues. So last year, this percentage was a negative 30%. So they were forced to reduce their rate last year by 30%, and for 1 year.
and that's what we don't want to see, is have us go down, and then have to raise our taxes again.
Correct. And then the other one that sticks out is that 12% for Greenlee, and in reality, they are taxing the max, and so that 12% just goes along with their growth. Any other questions here? I guess one thing I should point out is we took some effort to look at those primary and secondary rates that were similar in all of the counties, so all the making them consistent so that we weren't comparing apples and oranges. So we included, our library district, our public health district, or secondary if we have, in which we don't have a secondary for our health district, but our flood control and our library we did, and so we molded those the same on this chart to keep consistency so we can compare apples to apples. So a historic primary property tax rate. We haven't changed much. We've been the second lowest percentage of the max rate, 64.2% this year. And I believe Greenlee was at 15, somewhere around that 59% last year as well. The interesting thing here is, as looking back the previous 3 years, you can see what each of these counties are doing with their rates. For instance, Greenlee County, even though their percentage of the max is lower than ours, they have increased their rate every year since 2021. So that goes to say something. And then at the very bottom there, La Paz and Coconino County, you can see they are taxing 100% of their rate. So they can't do anything else to collect additional revenues from their constituents on primary property tax rate.
So just a question. So would you attribute that to the low property value rates? There's no increase in values coming in?
It could be. It just depends.
Again, you can't read their minds, so I don't know what they have to do.
We can look at what the net assessed valuation is doing for those counties. We can see what the population is doing. In, I think, at least one of these cases, and we can look at that on another slide, but the net assessed valuation may have decreased. Mm-hmm. And so in order to at least have a similar levy in comparison to the previous year, they would have to stay either increase the rate or at least stay at the very max, if that's where they're at, to have a similar levy as the previous year, sure. Especially if their net assessed valuation is decreasing. And
then our growth is going to help us with that.
Absolutely.
In the next couple of years, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving along to the primary levy per capita. So this is where we've typically been somewhere in the middle. And here again, we're 10th highest, so still kind of in that middle range. We're $25 higher than the average. This is the amount of money per person that our levy is. So at $266 in comparison to, say, Gila County, that's $496 per person. Or on the opposite side, Apache County, where it's only $49 per person. But, their levy and their population is nowhere in comparison to what we have going on here. It has something, thinking about what counties are doing, how their, public safety is configured, those types of things end up affecting that levy. So levy per income, so this is how much are we really burdening our taxpayers? And 1011, the percentage or the statistic was we were at 1.16%. We had the lowest income per capita at that time. So we were heavily burdening our constituents at that point in time. We've decreased now down to 61%, ranking 10th highest in the county, so we've made a lot of progress.
0.61% or 61%?
0.61%.
Okay.
0.61%. So, yeah, it's decreased quite a bit. And at the same time, like I made the point before, our aggregate income is increased 122% between 2010-11 and now. The levy, we've increased, like I said, 18%, and population 21% over those years. So, any questions there?
Just looking at your numbers, so similarly, we were looking at 2010 and 11, and the revenue produced by the primary tax rate is not a whole lot more now as we've lowered. So we're doing a lot of the same things for almost the same amount of money, even didn't take out inflation, and we're actually less.
Correct. That's correct. So this is the last slide here, and it's really just a summary of all of things that I've talked about. The county being the fourth highest primary property tax rate at $3.56. In 2010-11, we were at we had the highest rate, and we were taxing the max at that point. Fourth highest combined property tax rate at $38258. Primary property tax levy per capita, $266, $25 or 10% higher than the state average. The county has third lowest primary net assessed value per capita in the state, and we are the 10th highest primary property tax burden as a percentage of 2021 personal income. Any questions?
None for me. Supervisor Miller, do you have a question?
No.
I'm sorry. I didn't even mean you. I meant Goodman.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Supervisor Kavanaugh.
No questions.
Chairman Surtee.
None at this time.
Okay, thank you. In that case, Ms. Wood, you're done.
I'm done.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
You bet. So, okay, so I'd ask for a motion, please.
Mr. Vice Chair, I'll make a motion to approve item number 1 on the agenda as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a few of those. Who?
Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh, second. All right, thank you. In this case, we have a roll. So I have a motion and a second. We have a roll call vote. Ms. Kennedy?
Supervisor Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Supervisor Goodman,
Aye.
Supervisor Miller,
Aye.
Vice Chairman McClure,
Aye.
Chairman Surtee.
Aye.
That would be 5 ayes, unanimous. There are no nays. Therefore, in that case, motion passes, and we are adjourned.